This is going to be a real quick training session on how to apply stamps in Procore. Two separate stamps that I typically use in Procore are the submittal stamp and the other one is a drawing receipt stamp. So first things first, to use stamps you need to find out where your stamp folder is. So you're going to go to your markup button up here, click the stamp, and then go to change stamp folder. And this you're just going to find just so you can find out where your stamps are being stored. I have a separate folder for my stamps, but usually the default folder is some BlueBeam folder on your computer. So you can just click there and copy that address there. Then you're going to open up Internet Explorer or Windows Explorer, and you're going to go to paste and go to that location. So this is where you want to be storing your stamps. So again, mine's KL stamps folder, but yours will probably say C program files, BlueBeam stamps, something like that. So now that you know where that is, the next thing you want to do is go to your computer, go to the H drive, go to the training folder, go to stamps and Procore, and now copy and paste these two stamps right here. The first two, the ones Kaufman and Construction. The first is submittal stamp. The second one's the drawing receive. The one at the bottom is just a healthcare stamp. Don't worry about that unless you're doing a healthcare job. So just copy and paste these into your submittal folder or your stamp folder. I've already got those in there, so I'm not going to copy and paste them over, but that's just how you do it. So you would paste it here. There you go. And you would paste it there. Alright, so now that you've done that, now you can go back to your stamps folder in BlueBeam, go to markup again, go to stamp, and then click on one of those two stamps. So let's just start off doing a submittal stamp. Go to KLC submittal stamp, and you'll see this usually pops up over here on the right. This little gear means that's like your settings or properties. So in here you'll see all the stamps you have available to you. Here you can just use KLC submittal stamp, and you can just drag it like that. And then mine's already got my signature built into it, but the one that you have won't have a signature built into it. So from here you can make notes on top of that stamp using one of your markup tools. So usually I'll use like my typewriter or the text feature up here. So the typewriter is usually the easiest one for me. You can just click that and then you put your submittal number in there. Say it's like 5100-1.1, and then you can mark it reviewed, make corrections noted on here, or you can also do it by modifying the stamp, and then you can put your name in there. What I would recommend to you is go ahead and modify that stamp of yours and put your name in it like mine. You can see my name's already signed on there. The date will auto-populate, so you don't have to worry about that. The way I do my stamps is I'll typically click on them and then go to modify, and I'll modify the stamp, and a lot of times you can type in the submittal number, you can click or unclick reviewed, make corrections noted, etc. And then this would be the place where you can put your signature in there, or you could just you can click in this box and write out your name, and then save that. So if you save that, every stamp you do from this point forward will always have that on there. So for instance, you do go on here and say 1100-1.1, you change this to make corrections noted, and then you hit save. Now when you go back to this, it won't have automatically saved it, but if you click on a different stamp and then click back to that stamp, you'll see it's got the new information on there. So just pick whichever one you want to do. If you want to modify the stamp every time, or if you prefer to just leave it blank, you can always just write on top of it. It's usually a faster, easier way. Last thing, anytime you do any markups in BlueBeam, always make sure you click on the little steamroller that flattens everything and hit flatten. The reason you need to do this is when you look at a PDF file that has markups on top of it, on a phone, if it's not flattened, none of the markups will come through. So make sure anytime you ever do any markups in BlueBeam, you always flatten it. So that's the first stamp. Let me show you guys another stamp that I typically use on all my projects. I've already loaded it in there and I already told you guys where it is, but it's the drawing received stamp. I typically would have my guys go through every time we get a new set of drawings and mark the date that it's received, just so there's no confusion on it, and give it a title. So sorry, I skipped a step there. So you're going to go back to markup and go to stamp and choose your drawing receive stamp. Just like the submittal stamp, you can do the same thing. You can go over to the stamp where it says drawing receive, click modify. Usually I'll say what that is. Maybe it's revision 6 or structural revision, or it comes from an RFI or whatever it is. Just give it a title and then give it an issue date. And the reason I do this, and I think it's important to do, is sometimes they'll give you a new revision and it might be the same as the old revision except something's changed. Sometimes they're not very diligent in how they do their plan revision. So I always like to do that just so I can always tell what that plan set is and make sure that I'm using the most current one. So once you've made those changes, Same thing, you can just hit save. So let's just put today's date, 3/16. We'll just say this is training. And then I'm going to hit save, close it out. Now I got to do the same function. I got to go back to stamp, go to drawing received. And now that stamp, if I just drag and drop it, it's going to say training on it. So I usually will put that somewhere over by the title section over on the right. I'll show you one more trick before we're done on this. So let's say you get a whole bunch of drawings. Let's pretend this was a new drawing set I got, and you wanted to apply this same stamp to every single page on the drawing. An easy way to do that, you click on the stamp, go over to the thumbnail view on the left hand side, and you can either hold down Control or hold down Shift, scroll all the way to the end. If you hold down Control, you can select like 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. If you hold down Shift, it'll select that and everything in between. So I'll usually just take the first page, go to the last page, hit Shift, click. Now go back to your stamp, right click it, and go to Apply to Selected Pages. Now you'll see, if it works right, didn't go into that page, so I missed that page somehow, but it's on every other page. So what I'll typically do is I'll go through my pages and just make sure that the alignment works out okay for it. Sometimes it might not work out, you might have to realign it, but at least the stamp's there and it's the same and it's on every page. Again, last step, always flatten it, flatten the markup before you upload it into Procore. And that's it for the stamp, so good luck. Let me know if you have any questions or have trouble figuring something out.